Hello my loves, welcome back to the channel. My name is Felicia and this is The Feminine Fancy, a space where we explore what it means to live as women with softness and depth and intention. So if you are craving a slower, richer, more sacred approach to femininity, then you are in the right place. I'm so excited for today's video because I feel like in the last year and a half or so, my ways of approaching femininity and womanhood have changed. Not super dramatic, I mean, it's somewhat dramatically, but also they're just little tiny habits and things that I have implemented into my daily life that have made it easier for me to connect with my womanhood in like a much deeper, much more sacred way. The tips that I'm going to share in today's video are not things that are probably going to go viral on TikTok, you know? I'm not telling you exactly what makeup to buy or exactly what hair extensions you need to get or what jewelry you need to get. These rituals are not necessarily trendy, but they have truly impacted and shifted the way that I am able to connect with my womanhood and ultimately my femininity. And so I really want to share them with you today, and I hope that you enjoy them. And if you have similar tips or just different rituals that you have started implementing in your life, please leave them in a comment down below, because I know the community would love to hear everyone's different experiences and perspectives. Before we begin, I have to give a shout out and a thank you to our sponsor for today's video, Beam. Honestly, Beam makes some of my favorite nourishing wellness blends, and the one that I've been using and loving for the past month in preparation for this sponsorship is the Glow Super Powder. Now, if you're someone like me and you also struggle with hormonal imbalance, then this is definitely something to try out. Beam uses 18 comprehensive active ingredients, vitamins, minerals, and natural antioxidants. I also love that it's caffeine free and that it's dairy free, and they don't utilize any synthetic colors or fillers. One of the ways that I've noticed the Glow Super Powder impacting my body the most is through just giving me PMS relief. Honestly, I'm someone who has historically struggled with painful periods and cramps around that time of the month, and I have noticed a difference since taking the Glow Super Powder. Overall, I truly do think it's a game changer and something that a lot of women can benefit from. So if you are like me and you are a hormonally imbalanced girly and you've been wanting some relief, you can use my promo code FeminineFancy for up to 35% off of your order. Thank you again to Beam for sponsoring today's video, so let's get back into it. Okay, so like I said, these rituals, they are not huge. I'm not doing anything ginormous and crazy and over the top. These are just small habits that I've either implemented or tweaked over the last year, but I have noticed a big difference. First one is acknowledging my womb. It is so mainstream to ignore your womb space and to just be frustrated and irritated with your period and your cycle and just kind of accept that you're upset with it and accept that you're just gonna have cramps, you're gonna have, you know, mood swings and breakouts and all of these things. While those things are common, a lot of those symptoms are not normal. And I remember when I first started getting acupuncture specifically on my womb, I noticed a significant change in how my period acted. And when I ate differently, when I eat very plant-based, I notice a significant change in how my period acts. And so it's really interesting because I think as women, a lot of times, like, we all kind of commiserate over this joint experience of like hating our period and hating that time of the month. And the shift that I've made going from hating it, you know, not looking forward to it, to respecting and acknowledging my womb, respecting and acknowledging my body, has allowed me to just kind of sink into my womanhood more. This is a sacred experience. Getting your monthly cycle is something that a lot of people experience, and it's something that our male counterparts don't have to go through. So it's something that's very tender and very sacred, and acknowledging your womb space, acknowledging just the fact that like we have that area of our bodies is something that has been very empowering for me. So what does this look like exactly? Sometimes it just means placing my hands on my womb if I'm feeling particularly tender or sad or grateful. Sometimes it means doing a castor oil pack. We'll talk about that later in the video. Sometimes it means just kind of checking in, seeing how I'm feeling, like what phase of my cycle am I in? Just kind of acknowledging that that space is there, that it exists, and not hating it and not spending so much time and effort being frustrated with it, and instead kind of working together with your womb and with your body, your hormones and your uterus, and acknowledging that like this is a very sacred and deep part of yourself. And that's something that I've started to do in the last year and a half. I mean, I'm sure you guys remember my earlier videos, I was like, I hate my period. And I have grown and matured past that to where I honor and respect that space a lot more. And I find that when I do that, and when I, sort of treat my womb space the way that she deserves to be treated, I am rewarded with a happy period, an easeful cycle, and really, what more can you want? Okay, another ritual that I absolutely love and that I've started ever since we moved here actually is cooking in candlelight. So it is just such a nourishing and fabulous feeling to be cooking in candlelight. I don't know what it is. It's just it's not even it's romantic, it's whimsical. I love taper candles. I always have taper candles lit in my house. And it just sort of heightens the experience of cooking. Now, of course, if it gets too dark and you can't see, turn the light on. After it reaches dusk for us in this house, we try our best not to turn on the overhead lights because it's just too intense. And also the evening is specifically a time when you're getting ready to go to bed. And you don't necessarily want bright fluorescent lights shining in your face at 9 p.m. And so utilizing candlelight is just a really great way to soften a moment, to soften an experience. And I love to do that. I love to do the dishes by candlelight. I love to cook by candlelight. And it just romanticizes and enhances the experience. I love it so much. Kind of touching back on our first tip, with this tip, but tracking my cycle. I've always kind of kept a tracker just to kind of know how long my cycle is, because I tend to have shorter cycles, which is just not ideal. I do my best now not only to just input the day that it started, but also to input my symptoms, to input how much bloating I had, how much bleeding I had, what was going on during that cycle, what was different, what was the same, what went well, what didn't go well. And also just knowing what phase of my cycle I'm in on any given day, I have found to be very, very empowering. And I think a lot of times when we're talking about tracking our cycle, usually it's in the context of fertility, trying to conceive or trying not to conceive, or it's in terms of productivity. So you'll hear a lot of people talking about aligning your cycle with, the days that you work the most, that you work out the most, that you create content. So people will say, your content, how to match your content strategy with your cycle, or how to match your workout routine with your cycle. And all of those things are fine and honestly great and very beneficial. But I also think that there's just a sacred empowerment in knowing where you're at, where your body is at, where your hormones are at any given point in your monthly cycle. Knowing when you're in your luteal phase, knowing when you're in your ovulatory phase, because you will likely, if you're not on birth control, you will likely feel very different on different days in different phases of your cycle. So during ovulatory, you might feel super sexy, you might feel super ready to go, you've got energy, you want to go for a run, you're having a good time. During your luteal phase, you might have more mood swings, you might be more emotional. And then during your bleed, of course, you might also be feeling very tender, very emotional. So just knowing where you're at in your cycle is so empowering, and it's so helpful to know, not only for productivity and, fertility, but also just for your own sort of sacred knowing of how you're doing on any given day. Okay, the next ritual that I absolutely love is putting warm castor oil as a castor oil pack, most likely, but if I can't find my castor oil pack, sometimes I'll just rub the castor oil on my womb space, on my stomach, and put a heating pad over it before I go to bed. I do this for detoxification reasons. I do this because I have uterine fibroids, and so I try my best to detoxify. It's something that my naturopath told me to start doing, and I started doing it, and it honestly just feels great. It feels great. Aside from the fact that sometimes things can get a little oily, I just love the ritual of pouring the castor oil on my belly, or pouring it on my castor oil pack, and then wrapping myself, kind of wrapping myself up in this nice warm, blanket of love, and then laying down, putting on a show or reading a book and putting my heating pad over it, and just kind of knowing that I'm doing something to benefit my body. I'm doing something that my body likes, that my body enjoys, and that makes me really happy. And I really enjoy that ritual. A lot of people have started talking about castor oil, especially on TikTok, really recently. Now people will say that, oh, they put castor oil in their stomach or in their belly button and it made their ovarian cysts go away. I can't speak to any of that. I can only speak to the ritual part of it, which is what I enjoy the most. It's just a nice opportunity to relax, to reset, and to just know that you're doing something beneficial for your womb space and for your body and for your body's detoxification process. This next one, I don't know how it made the list, but we're gonna talk about it anyway. Keeping fresh herbs in my kitchen. I have a kitchen garden. I love my kitchen garden. And I think that where I was going with this, I don't actually know where I was going with it when I added it to the list, but I love my kitchen garden. It makes me super happy. I love being able to just pluck off some thyme, some rosemary, some parsley, or whatever it is that I'm using. I think it just kind of makes me feel like kind of like a kitchen witch. Like I'm just putting things together and mixing potions, and it just makes things very, very fun. I remember I tried to start a kitchen garden back at Fancy Cottage, but we didn't really get the same amount of sunlight that we have here. So my kitchen garden is thriving, honey. I use those fresh herbs almost every single day, and it really does enhance my cooking experience. So I don't know how it really relates to my womanhood exactly, but it does make cooking a lot more fun. This one I actually really, really love and enjoy. At our wedding, we had a table of photos with our grandparents who had passed on. That was really important for us to do because I was really close to my grandmother. We had the same birthday, and we were really, really close when she passed away. Kane's grandmothers, they passed away more recently. Like when I was in his life, they passed away. And so we wanted to have a sort of a sacred space for them at our wedding. So what we did was we had all these framed photos of them, and then we ended up taking those framed photos with us, obviously, and bringing them home. I sort of created a bit of an altar with those photos, and it has sort of morphed into having an altar with my grandmother's photos present. This is just something that I love because I love to remember them. I love to remember my grandmothers. I love to remember my grandma, who was my best friend, who shared my birthday, and just to walk past it and to see her and to talk to her sometimes when I'm feeling sad or when I'm feeling lonely or when I'm feeling scared, and just kind of know that I have that connection with her even though she's not here anymore. Creating, a sort of altar and having her photo next to candles and things like that. It's not like an altar that I pray to, but it's just nice. It's a nice reminder of like the power and the strength that I come from, the women that I come from, the women that we come from. Acknowledging that, acknowledging how much they went through, their sacrifices, their experiences, their hurts, their wisdom, and just having that on display in my home is really important to me. And so having a sort of altar with my grandmother's picture and with some candles and other artifacts just makes me feel really good. It makes me feel really connected to them and to the matriarchs of my family. Another thing, this is actually more recent. I have started getting ready I'm sitting at my vanity right now. I've started getting ready at my vanity almost every day. It doesn't always mean I'm doing a full face of makeup, but just the ritual of sitting down, taking a breath, looking at myself, acknowledging myself, getting out of the screens, having a moment to pour into my beauty, to pour into my physical beauty is something that I've really enjoyed. We live in such a go, go, go world that, a lot of us, obviously not everyone has a designated space to get ready in the morning. Most of us get ready in the bathroom. We do our makeup in the bathroom and that's fine. I have done that for years and years and years. It's funny, ever since I was a little girl, I wanted a vanity. And I would ask my parents for one because I wanted a space to sit down and braid my hair or sit down and play with my lip gloss, when I was in like 7th grade. And I never got one as a child. And, my parents didn't, I guess they probably just didn't think that it was necessary, which it wasn't. It's not. But I remember one of my first purchases when my YouTube channel started bringing in income was to get myself a vanity. And so it's kind of a way for me to honor my younger self, honor my 9-year-old self, my 12-year-old self, who really wanted a space, a designated space for pouring into her beauty. And now I love my vanity. I love getting ready here. I love putting on all my jewelry at my vanity, doing my hair, picking out my perfume. It's a very sacred process for me, and I really truly enjoy and recommend it. If you can get you know, get a vanity, or even just like a desk, like a vintage desk where you can sit down and do your hair and makeup and have just this space that's just for you. And then finally, this is something else that's a little bit newer, but in doing my research in about uterine fibroids, I found that something that's really helpful is frankincense oil. You only think about frankincense when you think about like the three wise men. What was it? Something frankincense and myrrh. It was the first one. I don't remember. I cannot remember what the first gift was from the wise men, but it's something frankincense and myrrh. So if you can remember, comment down below. Apparently frankincense has a lot of healing properties. I started using frankincense. I would rub it on my womb space or just kind of dab it in my palm and then rub it together. Take a deep inhale when I'm feeling overwhelmed. It's something that seriously helps to regulate my nervous system. If you are an anxious girly, like yours truly, I would recommend getting yourself some frankincense oil, keeping it in your purse whenever you're feeling overwhelmed, whenever you're feeling just stressed out or any of those negative emotions. Put a little in your palm. Clap, clap. And take a deep breath in. I promise you, it is the most grounding scent. It is the most grounding, wonderful thing to breathe in and to take in. And it's really helped to regulate my nervous system in moments when I feel overwhelmed or scared. All right, friends, that is it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that some of these little rituals that I've been benefiting from and enjoying over the last year are things that maybe you will start implementing in your own routine to get in touch with your womanhood in a deeper and more nourishing and real way. If you have any suggestions or tips for things that you do, please leave them in the comment section below. I would love to read about it, truly. I'm always looking for new ways to tap in with myself, to connect with myself. So comment those down below. We'd love to see it. You can find me on Instagram at _thefemininefancy_. You can find me on my blog at thefemininefancy.com. I'm also on Patreon. I also have a second channel called Marigold Manor, which is my lifestyle and homemaking channel. And I recently released my first digital magazine called Manor. It's got all the coastal California homemaking vibes of your dreams. So if you are interested in any of those things, they will all be linked in the description box below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Thank you again to Beam for sponsoring today's video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!